And welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines. We have with us another guest who is in the same boat as Mike and I are. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and his podcast. Go ahead.
I'm Blake Fisher. I have a podcast / YouTube channel called The Homeless Conservative, and you can probably guess what that means. I'm not actually physically homeless. I do have a house. I just, metaphorically don't feel like either of the parties really represent my more traditional conservative views that I feel like everyone had maybe 10, 15 years ago, but the Republican Party's just moved away from those. And so I am trying to do my best to talk about those sort of conservative principles that I think actually work if we actually followed them. I'm definitely like a constitutional conservative in the sense that I think that if we actually followed what the Constitution said, we'd be a lot better off. And we are not doing that right now at the federal level for sure.
Yeah, I've been at odds with the rhinos for years and years now. Okay, I was a Republican during the Reagan years, and after Bush the first got elected, I left the Republican Party. I stopped supporting them at the time I could support politicians, and I've been more of an independent. I used to describe myself as a constitutional conservative, then later on switched to constitutional conservative libertarian, and now I just call myself a constitutionalist. That's it. I think I'm not as conservative as most conservatives are, so I don't quite fit in that box. I got one leg in that box and one leg in. I'm not one of those social conservatives. No, not at all. I believe in. I believe in the Constitution above all else there.
Yeah. I believe labels are really more for produce than they are for people. And
that's a good point.
So the thing is that, when I started off, I was basically an anarchist. Okay. Then I basically became anti-political. Then I became, I became a Republican, not because I agreed with the Republican Party, but because I simply did not want to have Hillary Clinton in office, and I thought that was the default. So I voted for Trump. Not really. I voted against Clinton. So that's how my vote went in 2016.
I think that's all anyone is doing now is voting against another party. Most people are not really voting for anything. I think they're voting against something else.
Yeah, they're still going with, this has been going on for decades where people are, I voted for the least harmful or the alternative that was better than the other one.
Yeah.
Well, there was this kiddie movie, Dr. Dolittle, and there was a creature called a Push Me Pull You, where it had head and torso on both ends of the body. I think politically, everybody's kind of like, as you say, going in both directions, though. I think you're voting for something and you're voting against something. I think you're being pushed by the gravity of both positions. I definitely am pro-Trump. I'm not a big fan of the Democratic Party as it is right now. I'm not opposed to Democrats. I'm opposed to the organization called the Democratic Party.
So are 66% of Americans, according to that Wall Street Journal poll that came out the other day. So that's about the lowest it's been since they've been doing those polls.
Yeah, the Democrat Party is not. But meanwhile, places like what's that pollster Gallup is saying that Trump's approval rating is going down. So the only pollster I trust is Rasmussen. Okay, and only because they're generally correct in the end. But we've been. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Okay. Well, then I'll pick it up. Here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, the reasons pro and against in all these issues is constantly shifting based upon new data. As you uncover more and more information, what happens is you have to readjust. You either go this way or that way, or sometimes If you're really fortunate, you just stay in the middle. Frankly, I'm somewhat happy with the way things are, but at the same time, I'm very suspect as to where we're going. Does that make sense?
It does a little bit, although I mean, I am not. I'm on the opposite side of that. I think that where we are is very bad, and I can tell the
Yes.
direction we're going, and it's also very bad. I think that what we've done in this country is both parties and most people are they want a king. Like the No Kings protests were BS because they just don't want Trump as their king, but they are happy if it's a Democrat as their king. People want the executive branch to have all the power, but that's just not how the Constitution was set up. Congress is not interested in doing their job. They're not interested in checking the power of the president if they have the correct letter behind their name. So Republicans are not interested in actually checking Donald Trump's power, just like Democrats were not interested in checking Joe Biden's power. And to me, that's a huge problem because the government is not set up to be controlled by one person at the top of the executive branch. And that's what we've been sliding towards at an ever increasing rate since I mean, really FDR we could go back to,
Wilson
but
even.
yeah, Wilson for sure.
But FDR definitely, yeah.
FDR, like Wilson wanted to do a lot of those things. FDR managed to accomplish doing those things. It helps to have a, World War II going on. But, yeah, certainly Wilson wanted to be a king. Like he wanted to throw out the entire Constitution. So, we've reined that in sometimes, but really it all depends on who that person is at the top of the executive branch. If that person wants all the power, there's no indication that over the last, certainly since Obama, that that either party is willing to check their own president. And that to me is a huge problem because what you're going to get is Congress that does absolutely nothing, is willing to abdicate all their power that the Constitution gives them to the executive branch. And I just don't think it works.
Yeah, like we haven't declared war since World War II.
Right.
And FDR came in front of, on December 8th, came in front of Congress and asked them to declare war, and they did on Japan.
That's not technically true. George W. Bush got authorization for both wars from Congress.
But
that's what Hillary Clinton got so much crap
about.
Make
a declaration of war, did they?
Yeah, they did. Because that's what Hillary Clinton was in so much hot water for, because she was like doing and John Kerry, same thing. Oh, I voted for it, but now I'm against it, and it was like, well, you did vote for this. So, I will give George W. Bush credit for.
I stand corrected.
Actually, doing that.
When you consider the actions of a president, you also have to consider the State of the Union that he receives. The State of the Union that Donald Trump stepped into was in chaos. We had broken borders. We had I won't go through the list, but the point is, that
we know the list. Obviously, yeah, people in November of 2024 absolutely knew that list. It was mostly the economic inflation and the border. Yeah.
In extreme conditions, you need extreme responses sometimes. And the thing is that although I think that Donald Trump appears to be heavy-handed, I think many of his actions are absolutely necessary because of the fact that we have been given a country that was in critical condition. And if Kamala Harris had become president, you wouldn't have a country today. She would have wiped it off in one drink. But
here's my question to you, though. Are you comfortable with President AOC in 2028 doing the same thing, or 2029?
No.
Okay, well, so that's my problem, is that you're okay with your guy doing the executive orders that clean up this mess, but you got to understand the other side feels the exact same way about what Trump is doing right now.
Well, the executive orders that he did are countering the executive orders that Biden put in place, which were mostly taking away all the executive orders and policies that Trump had put in place during his first term, despite daily opposition from media and Congress.
Right, which is why Congress has to make laws, because everything Trump is doing right now is completely undone if a Democrat, like even the stuff I agree with. I actually don't like Trump very much. I think that he
Congress has to make laws in order to gel everything.
Right. And so everything that Trump has done via an executive order can be absolutely immediately on day one undone by a Democratic president in 2029, even if Republicans have the House and the Senate. And it doesn't help.
If he's
Right.
successful, then what will happen is that we will not get a Democrat to take his place.
You don't think a Democrat's ever going to be in the White House again?
Oh,
I'm,
sure.
I'm talking about.
Hopefully not for a long time, but
Yeah, we're
eventually,
talking
yeah,
about-
definitely.
I'm talking about if Trump is successful, and so far he appears to be. The thing is that the desire to have another president in the same vein as himself is greater, and AOC is not even remotely a possibility. I mean, I'm not saying she won't run. I'm just saying that she's an airhead.
I tend to agree with you. I'm just saying when I'm talking to people that lean more conservative, I want to pick the worst case scenario for them. That would be like worst case scenario. I agree. I don't think she's actually going to win in 2028. I think she's got a better shot than you think, though. I think that when we're in this kind of populist age, like she is the heir apparent to Bernie Sanders stuff. And Bernie Sanders was a formidable opponent in both 2016 and 2020 until all the more centrist Democrats got behind Joe Biden. Joe Biden basically won the primary in 2020. He was losing the first couple primaries. He wins in South Carolina because of black women, honestly. I mean, it's like older black women saved his butt in South Carolina. And at that point, the whole of Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar and sort of that wing, not the Liz Warrens, not the Bernie Sanders, they all backed him. If they hadn't, you might have ended up with someone like Bernie Sanders. And so I do not think AOC, like we should not just dismiss. I agree. She is dumb. Her ideas are terrible. I don't think she's actually electable at a national level, but I certainly think she could get the nomination. And I would not be, you remember, we're only 6 months into Trump's term. I think he's had some successes and some major failures. If the tariff stuff does not work out economically for him, Republicans will not win in 2026. They will not win in 2028. And I would say it's more likely than not that 2028 goes to a Democrat because we've now had 4 elections in a row where we go next. And we've flipped parties 12, 16, 20, 24.
Well, the tariffs, I think, as you said, are the big thing. And it seems in the past 2 or 3 days that the tariffs are working beyond anyone's expectations. All the economists on both the left and right seem to have been wrong. It seems that Trump, who is an outlier in everything, was the only one who was correct in his assessment of what this would do.
I think it's still too early to make a judgment call on the tariffs.
The threats of, this country was built on tariffs. Before 1913, tariffs paid for everything, the roads, schools, everything. Then in 1913, things changed, and that's when Rockefeller jumped in and started funding schooling. And I mean, he does have that quote that people know, that he wanted to raise a nation of workers, not thinkers. Okay, so
I'm kind of curious to change the subject. I'm kind of curious as to, have either of you heard about Alberta agreeing to a oil pipeline? I believe it is $800 million pipeline.
I have not.
Yeah, it's breaking news. I forget exactly how much it's worth. It might be anywhere from 300 million to 800 million.
Is that Alberta or Saskatchewan?
That's Alberta. I think you're thinking about the fact that they're thinking about seceding.
Both of those provinces, yeah.
Well, actually, the entire West.
No, not the entire West. The other place, British Columbia. I have a cousin who lives in Alberta. And I said, "Do you live in British Columbia?" And he goes, "Oh God, no." He said, "British Columbia is as bad as the East." And he lives in Alberta. He told me he described where he lives and so forth, which I'm not going to say because Canada has become a very authoritarian state, and anyone who speaks out against the state can be jailed.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Amazes me. It amazed me last year when I found out that Canada has no freedom of speech.
It's even
really
worse.
No one does other than us. We're the only country.
We're the only country in the world. It's crazy to me.
You know what's even worse, though? They arrested a 3-year-old in England for not using the proper pronouns.
Yes.
I did not hear about that, but that sounds wild.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
But, Daddy, that's a man.
Exactly, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 3-year-olds just tell the truth how they see it.
Exactly.
I've had.
But they're saying he was racist or no, transphobic or whatever.
Or they get confused about what gender they are.
Well, the left says that babies are racist because they don't want to, they
Because they're white.
recognize somebody, a black baby, and they don't want to have anything to do with them. No, it's a
Oh,
natural thing to be discriminatory, not racist, but discriminatory, where you prefer somebody who is closer to what you are than the opposite, for example.
It's not even just a preference. There's a psychological level of it's like, look, the story I tell, which I think is telling, is that, like our brains cannot differentiate other races' faces as well as our own race's faces. So
True.
that's why like all Asian people might look alike to us or something. But what's funny is I was in college and we had a substitute teacher that was Asian, Korean, I think. And actually like from Korea, like here in the United States,
Right.
A substitute for like a week straight or 2 weeks or something. And he was taking roll. And this is like I went to school for like audio engineering. So a lot of us have like longer hair and we're a bunch of white guys, audio kind of nerds, musicians.
Mhm.
And he's like taking roll and he still can't keep track of us. And he's like, all you white people look the same to me. So I was like, it's the same. It's not, he's not racist. He's just, but he like said what was honest. Like all of our faces look the same to him. He couldn't
Black
differentiate
people
us.
said the same thing.
It's not,
they make
it's
fun
just
of us for saying it about them.
right. It's literally a scientific, like biological thing. And it's the same thing with language. We can't really hear the tone. Like we can't understand, and we could never perfectly speak like a tonal language, just like they could never speak perfect English, because your ears stop filtering out those sounds that you don't need anymore, and they ignore them. So yeah,
Right.
it's ridiculous to call someone racist because
The
whatever.
same is true of reality, because we have filters in our brain, and some things you simply are not prepared to recognize, and you actually will not see them in your consciousness.
Yeah.
You actually won't experience them.
I
And
can do that if I try. I mean, I have, I'd say, about a 70 to 80% success rate in guessing the nationality of some Asian groups, like Thais, Japanese, Chinese, Koreans. I can differentiate among them pretty well. But that's from years of observation.
Very, very simple process. It's called not white.
Well, you know what the easiest people to
Sensitive color. That's right. Sensitive color.
You know who the easiest Asian people are to identify, besides Indians, of course. And actually, no, they look like Pakistanis sometimes. But the Chinese, and there's one physical factor, because they make their kids walk as early as possible. They start walking them around when they're only a couple of months old. So if you're looking at an Asian, you're not sure, is she Japanese, Korean, or Chinese? Look at the legs. If they're bow-legged, they're Chinese.
What if they have rickets?
I'd stake my life on that. Okay.
You'd have to actually grow up in China, right? Is that like the caveat there?
Yes. Well, even over here, I've seen it, but no, I guess mostly grown up in China. That's true. If you grew up in China, you're going to have bow legs because they made you walk too soon. Your bones were too not strong enough, and they bowed under your weight.
Never noticed.
Yeah. No, I know. I read about that years ago, and then I started looking, and I'm like, oh, it's true.
That's why they're so good at kung fu. They can get around you.
That's why kung fu has round kicks rather than straight kicks.
Like yeah, it was karate, by the way.
If you notice, kung fu is all circular movements.
So the thing is that you focus a lot on politics because your father, I believe, ran for mayor.
Uncle.
Uncle, okay.
And this is what sort of got me interested in it much earlier than, most 8th graders are not very interested in politics.
Right. So the thing is that we need to learn about your non-political side. So
I can tell you all about it.
I was just going to ask you, how did you get to where you are
I have
today?
a question for him. Captain Kirk or Picard?
I'm not a Star Trek guy.
Oh, wow. Then really, what do you like? Science fiction?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Batman nerd, as you can probably tell by the stuff on my shelves behind me.
Can't see the shelf really.
Oh, you can.
Who's your best Batman? Who's your best Batman?
Well, I think the best movies are the Dark Knight. The Nolan movies are the best objectively. Yeah. I think that it's pretty hard to. Obviously, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Keaton stuff, the '89 movie specifically. Although I think they got worse as they went on. I really do like the new one, the new Matt Reeves movie. I think it was really good, but I'm not yet going, it's better than The Dark Knight. I'm going to need to see the next two movies
I
to be
haven't
able to
seen
make that kind of judgment.
when did that come out? The Reeves movie.
2022, I
Ooh,
believe.
I haven't seen that.
It's good. It's definitely darker, grittier, not for children. Do wish there was some Batman content for children because
Well, Batman comics in the beginning when they first started in the 30s, I guess.
Oh yeah,
late 30s, early 40s.
39.
It was a very dark comic.
Yeah.
And Batman walked around with 245 strapped to his
Yeah. That was only for like one. It was only for like a couple of issues that he had a gun, and then they quickly switched to the no gun thing.
They took everything. Well, Hollywood and the arts world, they take away the guns. I mean, Columbo, a police lieutenant, refused to wear a gun.
Well, the gun thing and the Batman thing was strategic for story because his parents had been murdered by a gun. And so, I mean, that actually made sense. And it was still the darker, more adult kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, so Batman is like the number one thing I'm a dork about. But yeah, I like science fiction and stuff too.
Yeah,
I just
without the gun, though, he was formidable and he was very intimidating because he was dressed in dark garb. You couldn't see him until he was right in front of you at night.
I just think he's a very interesting character. I do like some. I didn't read a lot of other comic books, but I mean, I do enjoy. I enjoy a lot of those kind of comic characters, but I think Batman's the best one. I mean, just hands down.
The movie Batman Begins is my favorite Batman movie.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah, it's underrated in my opinion. The Dark Knight gets all the credit from that trilogy, but I think Batman Begins is one of the best. I think it's the best Batman origin story we ever got in comics or on film. It's
not according to the original.
They changed it. Nolan changed a few things, but and at first when I heard about the changes, I'm a little bit of a I'm sure I tend to lean. I'm a conservative, so I tend to go like I like if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Yeah. But the changes Nolan made were really smart, and I thought that they made him even more interesting, and to kind of fill in the gaps of the comics never really dove very deep into between him leaving Gotham and coming back. Like they briefly talk about it, and it's literally like a couple panels in the original Batman origin thing.
Leaving Gotham, I remember him training himself.
Right, but he like bails on it, like in Begins he leaves. He's gone for 8 years, and he's training and stuff.
I didn't remember that. I thought that was something from the film.
Best scene in all of the best scene period. The disappearing pencil trick.
That's a great one in Dark Knight. That was, I remember, back when we couldn't reserve seats. So, I mean, I would show up 3 hours early to reserve seats for me and my friends at the midnight premiere of those movies. And now you can go see a movie and reserve your seat at 7 p.m. on Thursday night. But there was something fun about like waiting in line, getting there early. And I remember watching that movie the first time, and I thought maybe I overhyped myself on how good this is going to be. And it blew away my expectations.
That was the Dark Knight, right? The one with
that was the Dark Knight. Yeah. Yeah,
that's my second favorite. I like the first one because it's an origin story, and I have a soft spot for the other actor. My God, very famous.
Liam Neeson.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that Nolan got better at action between those movies, and that's the reason I give Dark Knight an edge. And plus, Heath Ledger's performance is just
Dark Knight.
So good.
I got a question for you.
The burning of the fire.
Answer Mike's question, but no. This will do what you want it to do, Mike.
Right.
Heath Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix?
Heath Ledger's is better. Joaquin Phoenix, that movie was good, but I never wanted to watch it again. Does that make sense? Like it was a little too
in order for you. Joaquin Phoenix was the birthing of the Joker, and Heath Ledger was the completion.
Oh, well, and I will say this,
like character that was.
The other thing I like about the Joker specifically, let's just get into that one a little bit. There's so many different versions of that character, and they can all be good. Like Jack Nicholson's was more of a gangster version of Joker.
Yeah.
Obviously, Heath Ledger's is a little bit more of an anarchist.
And a maniac.
Joaquin Phoenix is like an actual psychopath. There's like all these like different versions of the Joker, and there was even a recent comic book series. I say recent, it was probably 5 years ago, like a 3 Jokers thing where there were in the comics, there were actually 3 different Jokers. It wasn't like one. So like, I love that. I love that, you know, when you've got a character and a series of characters that are 80 something years old at this point, you get to see some cool developments of them. And so I'm definitely more in, as I get older, I'm like, I'm welcoming like new weird things. I'm like, try something new and weird. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I did not like any of the Zack Snyder stuff. I thought all that Batman vs Superman and Justice League, it was all terrible. I hated all of it. Ben Affleck would have done a good Batman movie had he stayed on, but because he's a good director, and I didn't mind him as Bruce and Batman, I just didn't like Zack Snyder's direction with it.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight are the only Batman movies I will watch again. You
should check out the new one. It's really good. It's different, and honestly, Colin Farrell is the Penguin in it, or Oswald Cobblepot, and he is it. And then there's a series.
Yeah,
there's a series on HBO, the Penguin series, that follows the same character, and the events happen. I believe they pick up right after the movie, or no, they're before. I can't remember. Anyway, the point is, it is his performance is. This is a controversial thing, is as immersive as Heath Ledger's was. It is like, you can, like, in no way are you like, that's Colin Firth. It's like, he's a totally, well, the series is called The Penguin, and the new movie is just called The Batman, the newest movie. And they're working on the sequel right now.
Colin Farrell is in the series?
Yep.
Okay.
Colin Farrell, yeah.
Unrecognizable though. He's got prosthetics, and he's got, I mean, it's like, he is unrecognizable. It's like he totally.
It's like Bob Thornton and Sling Blade.
Well, I mean,
even more than that.
Look what they did with Lord of the Rings. They made people who are, normal height look like dwarves.
Yeah.
Yep. Camera tricks. Yep.
Yeah, and this is like all the prosthetic stuff is wild. How
Wait a second.
Good it is.
I know you must like this movie. Guardians of the Galaxy.
I did like those ones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's hope for this guy.
I really thought that Guardians, of all the Marvel stuff, Guardians had the most potential to be like a thing. I don't think it like ended super well. Like the first one the best, and the second one's the second best, and the third one's kind of third best.
You don't like the dance off?
No, I'm not saying I don't like parts of them. I'm just saying the first one had the potential to be like an Indiana Jones or Star Wars, like a new, because no one knew who any of those characters were. Those are very obscure Marvel characters.
Yeah.
And it was a really fun, first, James Gunn just does amazing soundtracks. I mean, that's kind of his thing, the director. And yeah, no, those ones are great. I wish that Marvel didn't try to creatively put all their directors in such a box. I feel like he had more leeway with those characters than some of the other stuff. Yeah. But the whole Marvel stuff got a little old after a while. I mean, I've heard the new Fantastic Four movie's pretty good, but I hadn't seen one since the Avengers.
The problem is they got too woke and they destroyed the franchise.
I don't even think it's that. I think they were just trying to it was just the CGI got so bad in them that they were just being lazy about writing and movie making, and they just thought they could make any movie and they'd make $1 billion, and it just got lazy, in my opinion.
It was just a cash cow, and they were just milking it. That's all. They were doing whatever they could to get it another $100 million profit.
They made it into a golden goose that they slaughtered.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I've not seen one since the I think the last Avengers movie. That's the last Marvel movie. So because I've not seen a movie, no one's been like, "Oh, you've got to go see this new Marvel movie."
I thought the one where you had Galacticus. Was it
which one was that?
Yeah, it was not Galacticus.
Not Galacticus. The guy with the gemstones in his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, Thanos. Yeah, but that was Avengers. That was the last. That was like 2015 or something. It's a long time ago.
Was it that long ago?
Not for me. I'm 71 years old. Your time span is like. That's another thing about this guy. He says you can't change if you turn over 70. You can't change.
Me?
I did not wear this. I did not wear this yesterday. I did change.
I didn't wear this yesterday either. I had a blank one.
Hold on, I'll share this. This is Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
My God!
Oh, wow.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's like, and it's not just the prosthetics. It's like it really is like an incredible. The show is really good, and so is the so is the movie. Yeah, you should definitely check them out. They're good.
Here's a series that you should watch since you like. But I really liked it a lot. The Daredevil series.
I watched the first season of that, and then maybe one episode the second season, and I didn't ever get back into it. So maybe I should do that again.
And I used to love Daredevil.
Now, watching this guy, he didn't like Daredevil. I don't know what to do with him now.
I liked most of that first season.
Comics, okay.
I liked a lot of that first season. There was some I don't know why I stopped watching. It's on Netflix, right? I don't know why I stopped.
The second season is actually the best because the Punisher comes in.
Okay, well maybe I should check that out then.
Well, if you can find it, it's Netflix dumped it, and I don't know.
Oh, they did? It's not on there anymore?
What, the first Punisher film?
Has it. Oh.
They canceled it, but the old episodes are still on there.
Okay.
The first Punisher film was pretty good. I liked that one.
Yeah. The nice thing about the Punisher is I absolutely despise that character. Okay, but the way they developed the Punisher, all of a sudden you said, "Oh, this is plausible. This is it thoroughly explainable, and thoroughly justifiable." He's constantly reliving the assassination of his family.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's in a memory loop. It's terrible.
It's like Batman. He became who he became because his parents were killed right in front of him.
Yeah.
I thought it's because he could afford to go ahead and buy all that cool gear.
I think it's definitely the murder of the parents is the primary thing. The money makes it fun.
Okay, fine, I'll give that. I'll concede.
Since you talked about it before and we can't really see it, can you move your screen just a little so we can see the Batman?
Yeah, here we go. I mean, here's some of my Batman stuff. You can see I've got a few things on the shelf there. I've really got more over here. Let's see if I can. I can't.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I've got way more over on this other shelf over here. All the Batman stuff has been relegated to one office now. Which is fun. So yeah, I've got a bunch of toys on my shelf and things like that.
Let me ask you, how did you get into podcasting?
Yeah,
and what else have you done? I mean, okay, Mike asked you how you got interested in politics. You said it was because your uncle was running for mayor, but after that, then what happened?
Well, so I mean, that kind of started being interested in politics. So that would have been like 1998, and I feel like that was a pretty interesting time to be interested in politics, just because you had all the Bill Clinton stuff going on. Then you had the 2000 election, which I was not quite old enough to vote in yet, but I still paid attention to it. And then obviously 9/11. And so, I mean, there was just a lot that went on in those pretty formidable years of sort of 8th grade through high school. And then, so I was always interested in, I've always enjoyed reading like kind of political sciencey books because I'm a dork apparently. And then I always wanted to do a political podcast, could just never figure out what to do. I was in a band all of like my 20s and teens and stuff. And so we actually did, back when it was on iPods and it was a lot harder to do a podcast, we tried to do like a band one. It was like a video thing. We weren't super consistent about it, but we liked the idea of that technology of being able to just send stuff directly to people that like your stuff and not have, and like it was totally wide open. There was no gatekeeping at all. Because this is before YouTube. This is 2003, 2004. And then, we kind of dived off. So 2020 happens. Me and one of the guys that I was in band with have always talked about doing podcasts, but we never really could figure out what to do. And he kind of said, "Hey, I think we should do talk about albums and music from the 2000s. They're almost like all these albums are turning 20 years old. We were in that industry for a long time. And so we talk a lot about it. And so literally like when COVID lockdown sort of happened, we were like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I basically stole the format, from the Rewatchables, which is a Bill Simmons podcast where they just talk about rewatchable movies. It's just real fun. They just talk about their favorite movies to watch over and over again.
I'm gonna check that out. Rewatchable.
And it's a great podcast. And especially if they're talking about a movie you love, it's great. And so we sort of said, let's do the same thing, but with albums that we love and just go track by track through the whole album and talk about which songs we like, which ones we don't, the production, the songwriting, all that kind of stuff. So I started that with two buddies in 2020, and then I started the political one in 2023. So I just finally was like, I just need to start doing it. And so I'm still playing with. And
why the name Homeless Conservative?
I was trying to find a good name I'm not a big Trump fan. I just think that he's not conservative. I mean, he says it himself. He's not conservative. He's
more of a constitutionalist, though, I think.
He's not a constitutionalist at all. He would shred the Constitution if he could tomorrow. He has a thumbless grasp of the Constitution. I think he doesn't. He couldn't name the articles of the Constitution if you asked him. I don't think. I think he doesn't care about the Constitution. I think he wants to do.
No, I think he knows the Bill of Rights, and that's about.
I don't think he knows that. I don't think he cares about it.
Know about the Bill of Rights. Really.
Yeah, I don't think he cares about it. I don't think he cares about any of it. I think that if he could, he wants to do what he wants to do, and sometimes that aligns with what I like. Sometimes that does. Sometimes it doesn't. But what I like, I never want anyone in the federal government to not think the Constitution is the highest thing that they have to follow. And I frankly don't think either party really care about it. I mean, I think Joe Biden was the exact same way. I'm not like defending the other party here or anything. I'm just saying that we've had a series of candidates for president and Congress that don't care. If Congress cared about the Constitution, they would exercise their Article 1 powers, which are much more like the whole co-equal branches of government is BS. They're not co-equal. The Congress has the most power. The Congress has the power to fire the members of the other branches. Neither of the other branches have that ability. Judges can't get rid of congressmen, neither can presidents. But Congress can get rid of judges and presidents if they want to. So, I mean, I think it's very clear that the framers wanted Congress to have most of the power. They gave them the power of the purse. They gave them the power to legislate. They gave them the power to regulate. They gave them the power to do all this stuff. And slowly Congress has given a lot of that power to the executive branch. Now, that was a problem way before Trump. Trump is not the cause of that problem, for sure. But Trump certainly knows that he wants what he wants. And sometimes that changes, yesterday to today. I mean, he used to be a Democrat. He doesn't, I've never seen any indication that he believes any of the things I believe. Now, I'm probably a little more conservative than you guys are, and that's okay. So I didn't trust him from the get-go, but I understand why he was popular. My theory on him was that he's authentic. He's authentically himself. He's not. And Bernie Sanders was the same thing. I think the reason people were attracted to Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump because they weren't changing their accent based on where they were, like Hillary Clinton was, or they weren't changing their answer to what they said yesterday in a southern state now that they're in a northern state, or whatever the situation was. Like Donald Trump was unapologetically who he was. He doesn't try to like dress in farming clothes and get on a tractor. He wears the full suit in the McDonald's thing that he did in this last campaign, which I think is like, that's who he is. He plates everything in gold, like he is authentically who he is. However, I don't think he has any real principles. I think his guiding principle is what I feel like right now. He trusts his gut. And I just don't think that that's a good way to be a president. I think you have to have, like Reagan had some ideals. And he said, this is what, and then he surrounded with people that either agreed with those ideals or at least wouldn't, they might good presidents always surround themselves with people that disagree with each other. I think that that's the smartest thing a president can do is to say, I want a team of rivals. That's the famous thing with Lincoln, right?
And both sides.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even both sides. It's just like, if I were the president of the United States, what I would want on every issue is for 2 or 3 people to be in that room arguing with each other about what I should do. And then I'm going to pick the person with the best argument. Obviously I'm going to have some opinions myself. I don't think it's like the president doesn't do anything, but let people make the decisions for him. But you should have smart people around you. Because the truth is Donald Trump thinks he's great at everything. He's not. No one can be. Donald Trump knows a lot about commercial real estate.
Thinks that, or if he just wants everybody else to think that.
I think he actually thinks
that's how I think he is, where he's bombastic because he's just a braggart and so forth, and he's been that way all his life, and he continues that character. But people have said that when you meet him in person, that he's very personable and very. It's as if you're the only person in the room.
No, I'm sure he is. I mean, I think that that's all true. I don't think any of that's not true.
It's a facade. It's a facade.
No, I don't even think it's a facade. I think he's being genuine all the time. I think he's genuine when he's in a room with someone.
It's a genuine facade, but I mean, his bombastic attitude is like very. It's like I hate to bringing him up because I don't like him anymore. But Howard Stern. Howard Stern had this big, terrible attitude and terrible reputation. But they said in private, at least years ago when I used to listen to him, he was very soft-spoken, very kind, very nice.
And that's normal in a lot of entertainment. I mean, there's a lot of front guy. I mean, coming from the music world, there's a lot of front guys in bands that seem like wild and crazy on stage, and they're crazy, quiet introverts off stage.
Ozzy
It's
was
like,
supposed to be a Satanist. He was very Christian.
yeah, it's literally like it's a it's not. I don't even want to call it just a performance. It's not fake. That's not what I want to say. It's just like it's a different thing than. But I don't think even that's what Trump is doing. I don't think that sometimes he is performative. I think he's treating the White House like it's a reality television show, though. And my problem is that he'll say one thing one day and then something different the next day. And what he demands is absolute loyalty, no matter what. And so what bothers me about that is that there's no room for anyone to disagree with him, even if they agreed with him yesterday and he says something different today. And that to me is so hard for anyone to get a grasp on where we're going, that I think that's why I don't think the tariffs are going to work in the long run. I think it's too soon to tell because most people short up their supply lines before, so we're not going to really see if the tariffs are causing major price increases until the fall or winter, I don't think, because that's when things would catch up.
Well, I think where they are working is tariffs are being lowered by other countries.
But they weren't. But why is that a measurement of what matters? Like, why is our trade deficit a measurement? No economist would ever say that is.
Okay, if Donald Trump is not a constitutional, not for the Constitution, not for the country, and so forth, he is for the economy of the country.
But why? I mean, no economist would say that the most important thing is whether we have a surplus with trade or a deficit with trade with countries. No economist would say that's an important measurement
look at
of if we're doing well.
Debt. I mean, our deficit.
Debt is different. I'm not talking about the national debt.
I disagree. For example, with Trump wanting to give people a rebate check. No, forget that. Use that money to pay down the debt.
Yeah, but he is not fiscally conservative at all. He increased the debt by $7 trillion before COVID hit. So like it's I think that's the number. I might be wrong about that. I think
it did increase.
It was astronomical before COVID happened. Yeah. He is I'm going to give voters what they want in the states that I need to win. That's why he's like pro steel tariffs. He needed to win Pennsylvania in 2020. That's why, and he says a lot of stuff, but he doesn't really follow through on it for the most part because he doesn't really care about anything but the soundbite and the news clip and the headline. And then once that's passed, he doesn't really want to do the work to back it up. And so my problem is that he's not fiscally conservative. He alone, his presidency between his first term and second term, are going to add something like $12 trillion to the national debt, which was already incredibly high. He has no interest in actually reforming the things that need to be reformed if you're going to actually tackle deficits and the national debt. Neither do Democrats. It's just very clear that Republican Party, that's part of the reason I'm homeless. Neither the Republican Party or the Democratic Party have any interest in fixing our financial crisis, which is that we have $34 trillion in debt right now. And by the end of the Trump administration, with this new big, beautiful bill, in the next 10 years, by 2035, that will increase that by $4 trillion. That's not including any of the rest of the bills that happen under the Trump administration or a future Democrat or Republican. But just over the next 10 years, that's going to add at least $4 trillion. That's going to get paid by me or my kids. And I care about that. And no one does in Washington.
No, you're right. Washington doesn't care because they become career politicians rather than people who want to better the country. Because
they don't want to do the hard thing.
They don't serve 2 or 3 terms, then go home to live under the laws they made.
Yeah, they don't want to, and they don't even want to make laws now. I mean, frankly,
and whatever laws they pass, they make themselves exempt.
Well, and look, Donald Trump has no interest in Congress passing laws either. That's why he's just writing executive orders. Look, if Donald Trump really cared about immigration reform, he wouldn't have torpedoed the immigration reform that the Democrats. I mean, look, last year, that bipartisan bill that like James Lankford and the other, I can't remember the Democrat and the independent that did it, but they had Joe Biden realizing that crap, immigration is a problem for me and my party, and I will sign immigration reform. If you could go back in time to 2005 when George W. Bush is trying to do immigration reform and you showed him the contents of that bill, you would go, okay, you must have a Republican president. You must have like a supermajority in Congress to be able to get those things, and no amnesty and none of these other things that Democrats tend to want in those immigration bills, because Democrats knew it was going to be a problem for them at the polls in November. And Donald Trump wanted immigration to continue to be an issue for the campaign so he could win, and so he torpedoed the bill. He does not care about immigration reforms. He cared about immigration being a problem that he could get elected on.
I don't know that he torpedoed the bill himself.
He did. He literally told them you cannot vote for him. He torpedoed it himself. They had the votes in the Senate, they had the votes in the House, and Biden said he would sign it. And Donald Trump went to Congress and said, no Republican better dare vote for this thing. You don't even take it to a vote because I want it as a campaign issue. He absolutely did that. And if he really cared about immigration reform and he wanted a better bill, he would have said, I want a bill on my desk day one when I come into office. He could have gotten that because he can get anything he wants from the Republicans right now. If he wanted it, he'd have it. There is no immigration reform in Congress. They have passed 3 bills since he's become president, one of which is the Big Beautiful Bill. The other one is the Lake and Riley Act, which I do not think does what they hope it will do. I think it's a bad thing because it basically does mandates without funding, and you're going to end up kicking people out of detention centers for things like really bad crimes because you pick someone up on a shoplifting crime, because there's only so much space. And if Congress doesn't give them more detention space, then they can't have more detention space. You actually have to, immigration is a complicated problem that cannot be solved with executive orders because President AOC can come in on day one in 2029 and undo absolutely everything he's done with immigration so far. So he just doesn't care about it.
Well, I mean, but Trump's actions after he got in do show that Biden did not need a new laws to do what he did. Because
that's absolutely right.
Trump has stopped the trickle of encounters at the border, of illegals at the border, down to by 99%.
Oh, it's insane. Biden ever claiming that he didn't have the power, everything that happened at the border was 100% Joe Biden's fault and no one else's because it was executive orders.
Biden was not in charge.
No, I mean, I don't buy any of that crap. It was not Obama in charge. He didn't want anything to do with Joe Biden. He tried to get Joe Biden not to run.
2 weeks ago, it came out that Barack Obama was coming 4 or 5 days a week to the White House for an extended period of time, and he would go in at about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Where's the source on this? That did not happen. Obama wanted nothing to do with Joe Biden's presidency.
The records, the logs, the White House logs.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the source.
Joe time.
If you can share the source with me, I've not heard that. I would find it very hard to believe that didn't make any conservative news outlets for the 4 years Joe Biden was there. Those White House logs are public immediately.
I heard it as well.
Yeah, heard it. I want a real source, though. I mean, like I said, that sounds speculatory, and I don't think Obama wanted it. Obama tried to get Biden Obama is the person that convinced Biden not to run in 2016. So I don't believe that Obama was running the. I think that it was.
Remember when the redhead was in
the press secretary, Jen Psaki?
Yeah, Raggedy Ann. When she was there, one of the members of the press asked, "How does it feel to work for the president?" She goes, "Oh, I love working with President President Biden." It was a Freudian slip.
Yeah, I mean,
Obama had influence in that administration.
I think if Obama had influence in that administration, Joe Biden would not have run for a second term.
Well, he refused to step aside, and they said, "Okay."
So wait, hold on. So you're telling me that Obama was running the whole operation, but couldn't convince Joe Biden to step aside for the 2024 race? That doesn't make any sense.
Joe Biden. I should say Jill Biden.
Okay, but again, it can't have it both ways. The conspiracy theory can't be that they control absolutely everything and that they don't have enough power to get Joe Biden to
we'll all agree that Joe Biden was incapacitated for a great
absolutely. But it was his aides and Jill Biden helping him out. It was not Obama, I don't believe.
Be able to run the country. So if he wasn't able to run the country, who was?
Well, that happened back in 1913, not 1913.
With Woodrow Wilson.
I think Woodrow Wilson had a stroke and his wife ran the country for a year and a half. But why didn't Congress at that time say, "Hey, wait a minute. We have to put the vice president in charge"? Here's
the truth is we have to we really have to rethink the 25th Amendment because it is clearly not good enough for the problem that the 25th Amendment was set up because of the Woodrow Wilson situation this person is actually incapacitated. This person is not able to do anything and they're hiding it from everyone. And
Yeah, but the rest of the government hit it also.
Or the JFK assassination, or even Reagan's assassination attempt. Like, there are situations that's where the 25th Amendment is supposed to be in. We do not have any kind of trigger for if someone has mentally declined because they're so old. And in this situation, we've got two octogenarians, which is like, it's nothing about that age. And I don't like people that say we need age limits, because like Bob Dole, from all accounts, until he was 90, he died at 96 or whatever, and he was in a wheelchair and stuff. But from all accounts that I've ever heard, he was sharp as a tack and had lost no mental capacity. So I don't think it's an age thing. And honestly, I know people that have died, whose parents have died of early onset Alzheimer's in their 50s. So, this is not about an age thing, but there has to be some sort of, we've got to get there's got to be a change, because with Joe Biden, there are only two possible scenarios. And by the way, this is going to his cancer diagnosis too. It's not just the mental stuff, it's the cancer diagnosis. The only two explanations for his mental decline not showing up, or the cancer diagnosis, is either that the White House has such terrible doctors that they couldn't diagnose that he was not mentally capable of being the president, and that he had prostate cancer that was growing for probably 10 years, or that they were lying about it.
Well, did you see that his doctor took the fifth in front of Congress?
Yeah, I don't blame anyone for actually taking the fifth in that situation, because Republicans are just on a witch hunt for it.
It is their right. He was hiding something.
Well, it doesn't mean you're hiding something. You take the fifth necessarily. I don't blame the doctor for doing that. It's what any lawyer would have recommended that doctor do for any president that's getting on a witch hunt for the opposite party. What I have a problem with is that the doctor should not work for the president. We should have a third party. We got to change. And again, Congress could do this if they wanted to. Congress won't do it because the Democrats were not interested at all in checking Joe Biden. The only Democrat that spoke about Joe Biden's mental capacity was Dean Phillips, who ran against him. So as far as I'm concerned, he's the only Democrat with any credibility when it comes to saying, because everyone else just went along with it.
I don't know who Dean Phillips is.
Dean Phillips is a congressman that ran in the primary. He said, I love Joe Biden. I agree with Joe Biden. He cannot run again. He's too old. He cannot serve a second term. And he got crucified for it. He's the only Democrat that spoke the truth when it mattered. And so I give him credit for that, like enormous amounts of credit for it. Everyone else went along with it, even though they were having either personal interactions with him where they were not being recognized, they were not like saying names, or they were cabinet level members. And this is why I don't think anyone has a chance. Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, anyone that was in his cabinet, there were only two possibilities. Either A, you never met with the president, and so you never saw the decline, but you should know something's up. If that means, what influence do you have? Why should we trust you? That Joe Biden didn't trust you. He never met with you. Or you met with him, you noticed the decline, and you didn't say anything about it. And those are the only two options. There is no third option in that kind of situation. I think we're going to be in the same situation with Trump. Trump has lost a step since 2016. I'm not saying he's where Joe Biden was at all, but he is not the same. He does not have the same mental acuity that he did in 2016. And that is normal for people to age.
Go on that one.
I don't think he has the same physical.
I think it's physical and mental. I mean, it's not huge differences, but it is enough of a subtle difference. You watch him in 2016, he is pretty quick and sharp. Now he just rambles and says the same thing over and over again. That was not him in 2016. I actually think he, as much as I thought it was not a normal campaign, I think that's why people were attracted to it in 2016, is because he would say the things regardless of whether he thought they'd be popular or not. And there was almost this degree of I don't even agree with him, but I like that he's saying the things that he feels like he shouldn't say, but he's saying them anyway. And now every speech is just the same thing over and over again. And he's still talking in speeches like he's campaigning. He's not campaigning anymore. He's the president of the United States, but he's still it's like regurgitating the same greatest hits. And it's not. No, I'm not saying
he's still trying to go ahead and win the hearts and minds of the American people that haven't jumped on his boat.
But why does he need to?
Because they're American citizens, and he's trying to get them to see his vision.
Yeah, but why? Why is he still talking about Biden and Kamala Harris? He doesn't need to anymore. They lost. He won the race. He doesn't.
I may not particularly like the fact that he brings them up over and over again, but the fact of the matter is, he thinks that particular subject, raises him up. And the thing is that I guess he's also showing the comparison. Look who you had. Look who you got now. And I
think the most important thing here is the two parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, have both gotten away from their basic principles. The Democrat
Yeah.
Party is controlled by communists. The GOP is now controlled by the rhinos.
No, it's controlled by
who do
Trump.
not-
Trump is the only person
Well,
that controls the Republican Party now.
No,
That is it. No
the rhinos-
one gets any say.
He's taken away a lot of the power. True, he has taken away a lot of the power from the rhinos, but
No, he's not.
the rhinos are what screwed over the GOP for decades now, because they had strayed far away from the Republican principles of Lincoln's time, and Lincoln was the first Republican president.
Well, here's what I would ask, I guess. How would you define a rhino? I know Republican in name only, but like what is that defined as now versus 10 years ago?
Rhinos are more interested in being popular with the press, with the media, so that they'll get reelected, and they will go along with a lot of the Democrat policies.
Okay, what are those policies?
The Republican Party should be opposing those.
But what are those policies? Like, give me like three.
Social policies and so forth. I mean, the Republican Party used to be mostly you. Rather than giving people handouts, you give them a helping hand.
Right. But I mean, is there like
raise themselves out of whatever it is? The Democrat Party wants to keep you dependent on them all the time. Okay. The rhinos are also that way now because they know I voted to give you money, and that's keeping you from. You don't even have to go to work.
So do you think Donald Trump wanting to hand out checks with his signature on them is?
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
So my point is,
I would rather see it reduce the deficit.
So my point is, Republican's a weird thing because Republican obviously can like evolve over time. At one point, Republicans and Democrats were both for eugenics in the 19-teens. You know what I mean? Like we would say that like Theodore Roosevelt was a progressive. He was a progressive. I mean, like by all definitions, we would say right now he's a progressive, even though he's a Republican. So Republican can like evolve for sure, but there is no one that has control of the Republican Party other than Donald Trump. If you don't go along with Donald Trump, and by go along with Donald Trump, I mean agree with him and praise him at every single move, you are out of the Republican Party and you're out of Congress and you're out of the Senate. I mean, would you disagree with that?
No, because there's too much pushback on that. I mean, they're not gonna win. Overall,
his threat to any Republican that goes against him is I will primary you.
He's against Mackey. Mackey sometimes votes the way he wants. Sometimes votes against it. Massey, I'm sorry. Yeah. Massey. Where did I get Massey?
Yeah, but Massey, like the thing is, like Thomas Massey will probably continue to hold his seat because the people in Kentucky like him, and Donald Trump probably couldn't primary him successfully.
Yeah, I don't think.
But he is successfully primarying everyone else, and then possibly losing that general election to a Democrat because he primaries them with such lunatics that are not very good at their jobs. But my point is, Donald Trump is.
I don't know.
You cannot blame Republicans anymore for anything that you don't blame Donald Trump for. Is my point, because Donald Trump has complete stranglehold on the Republican Party.
In general, the past few decades, the Republican Party has strayed since Reagan. It's strayed from its core principles.
I would agree with that, but like
both parties have dropped their principles. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah. Before Trump, before Biden.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that the Republicans, to me, have further abandoned those principles under Trump. Like, I think it has accelerated it because I cannot find, like I said, there are some things I agree with Trump on. Now, generally, when I agree with the idea, I don't agree with the follow through because I'm like, you've got to get Congress to pass laws or none of this stuff is permanent. Every single executive order he signs is just undone.
I disagree. The less laws Congress passes, the better.
Well, I know, but like, how do you expect to fix the border?
For every little thing.
I know, but how are you going to fix the border without a law? It's an executive order that can be undone by the next Democratic president.
Not the border. The border you can fix.
No, the border you cannot.
Do what he's doing now.
You can't. You need Congress to do border funding.
No, what you have to do is fix the immigration system.
Yeah, you need to fix all that. Yeah, but you also need to fix the border.
Prohibit what happened under.
Because look, Joe, you could build a wall across the entire. Let's just say that Donald Trump successfully builds a wall across the entire southern border. Okay, which he's not going to do. He only built 50 miles of new wall in his first term. He claims he built this giant wall. He did not actually build the whole wall. He did not do what he said he did. But let's just say he does. Joe Biden, the reason the immigration came flowing over was not where the wall was or could be. he was letting people just come in
Oh,
via
yeah, right through the
asylum
border.
claims.
Right through
That
the-
is an executive order that Joe Biden just undid everything that Trump did in his first term.
Exactly. His first day, he did that.
And so AOC or any Democratic president that comes next can undo everything that Donald Trump has done on the border on day one if they want to, just like they can undo the DEI stuff if they want to. Now, I don't think they will have the political capital to do so necessarily, but they can undo anything they want with a stroke of a pen.
Sure.
One person. And
Well,
I think we will have a Democratic president in 2029.
I don't. But
I
the
hope
thing is that I believe that the Democrats do not need laws in order to go ahead and undo things. They have proved themselves, in my mind, to be lawless. And whenever they want to, they go ahead and initiate action against whatever organization they don't particularly care for, such as ICE agents coming in and getting rid of these felons that cross the border.
But what's the difference in Donald Trump doing the same thing with the things he doesn't like in the federal government? There's no difference between the two of
Once
them.
the Democrats take him to court, he goes and fights it in court. He's not being dictatorial about it.
That's a non-specific question. So that's too generalistic in order to respond.
Okay, I'll give you a specific one then. What about Donald Trump firing people in the Justice Department that he thinks basically because they were told to investigate anything that he didn't like, which by the way could be him like wanting to drop the charges on Eric Adams, a Democrat in New York. Like, are you okay with that?
That statement presumes that he has no justification, just chooses to do things out of whimsy.
Okay. Well, then do you like Donald Trump's non-enforcement of the TikTok ban?
But if he has, the thing is that I have seen a lot of what Trump has done, and he usually has good reasons behind it. You may not particularly like his approach. Now, I agree with you that Congress has to solidify any direction that he's pointed into law. That's the only way to secure good action. Okay, and I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah,
I do not see him as being simply a spoiled brat throwing his toys around. I see him as being a very dedicated person, and I do see him, with restraint. And the thing is that as far as I'm concerned, the illegal aliens that are in this country, they should vamonos.
Okay, so do you like that he's choosing to not enforce immigration raids on hospitality and farmers?
He's prioritizing.
No, it's not prioritizing. He said we are not going to go after those people.
Right. Well,
maybe go specifically. If they catch them, they're caught in the net.
Right, but what is the difference? It's that he is in those industries.
Donald Trump's statement.
That's a good point.
I'm going to give you up to 30 days to make up your mind before we attack. He did it the next day. So the thing is that he plays with terms like that. So you can't, he is crafty that way. I don't have a problem with him not sending people away that are doing a job temporarily.
Why? What's the difference in restaurant workers and hotel workers that are illegal immigrants taking jobs from Americans? Because that's what Trump said on the campaign trail, is that the reason you got to get rid of illegal immigrants is because they're taking jobs from Americans.
Well, he's also saying that they're going to go after illegals who are committing crimes first. I mean, unfortunately, they gather in groups where you'll get people who haven't committed crimes and they get caught up because they're here illegally also, and they're going to get deported.
Here's my point.
Let's get real.
Yeah, but here's my point: is that what you're saying is that because Donald Trump's motivation is correct, it's okay for him to not follow the law. And what I'm saying is that a Democrat can come in, any president. And you've got to imagine when you give someone that power,
Biden did not follow the law either. The Supreme Court ruled on certain things, and Biden said, "I'm going to do it anyway."
I know, and Donald Trump has done the same thing. So
he is not going against the court's rulings. He has fought lower court rulings by going all the way to the Supreme Court to get a victory. But he has not fought against the rulings.
I would say
once the Supreme Court says this is how it is, he may complain about it, but he abides by it.
I'd say there's.
If your car breaks down, you're going to focus on the most important things first. Okay, that doesn't mean that you have forgotten the other things.
I know, but okay, but here's my question: Congress passed a law that said TikTok cannot operate inside the United States, And Donald Trump, because he is friends with someone that's a majority owner in TikTok, says, I'm not going to enforce that law. Would you be okay with a Democrat doing the same thing about immigration laws, not enforcing a law?
Who's the
Show me
majority?
that on paper.
I'll show it to you. Right. I mean, I can. It's I can show. I mean, I will show it to you. The TikTok ban. What happened? The TikTok ban happened. Congress passed a law, and Joe Biden signed it, and it said that. And by the way, this is something that Donald Trump campaigned on, like when he was first president. He was the one that wanted to get a TikTok ban.
Yeah,
he claims he's tough on China. This is about national security. Congress passes a law, and Donald Trump says, you know what? I'm going to give them I'm not going to enforce the law. I'm going to give them 90 days to find a buyer in America. That 90 days passes. He goes, I'm going to give him another 90 days. This is because he is friends. One of the major campaign donors I can't remember his name. I will find it if you would like me to, but that's probably the reason why. It's because
as far as I know, TikTok is still owned wholly by Chinese.
Not
Chinese
wholly. So it's complicated. They did sell to American investors, except that the problem is they still control the application and the algorithm. So the Chinese government still has access to all the app, even though they have some American owners now, but it's not actually fully owned by Americans.
It's like you and I investing in, say, General Motors.
But my point is, you take away all of those details. We don't have to have the campaign donor. We don't have to have all this stuff. Congress passed a law, and Donald Trump has said, I'm not going to enforce that law. I don't want any president to be able to do that. I don't care if I agree with them. I don't care what their motivations are. I think that the executive branch needs to follow the laws.
Well, the executive branch is supposed to enforce laws.
Correct. Yes. They are supposed to enforce the laws that Congress passes. And Donald Trump is saying, I am giving this law a pass, and I don't care what the reasons are, because he's not enforcing the law. He's not being tough on China like he claims he's going to be.
First of all, you cannot arrest 20 million people simultaneously.
It's not about arresting people. The enforcement of this law is that it has to get taken off of app stores. That is it. The enforcement of the law is that it cannot be sold or downloaded in U.S. app stores. Donald Trump says, I'm not going to enforce that law. That is the president of the United States trying to supersede the power of of Congress, the Article 1 branch that has the powers. And he's doing the same thing with finances. Joe Biden did the same thing by trying to forgive student loans, by saying, I don't care what Congress says. I don't care what the courts say. I am going to say that we're going to forgive student loans. And even though the Supreme Court and as conservatives, I think we all had a problem with that when Joe Biden did it. My point is, I also have a problem when Donald Trump doesn't follow the law, and he's not following the law.
Better informed on this than I am. I have never really cared about this particular subject. So
I don't necessarily care about the subject, but I do care about the process that's there.
I can't debate you on this because I haven't really looked into it. Also, I'm in a bit of a jam. I have to leave.
Okay.
So, Roy, why don't you take over the show?
It's all right. Oh,
but nice to talk to you.
It's already after 2. You going to go, Mike?
I got to go. Bye-bye.
All right.
Nice to talk to you, Mike.
I forgot. Okay. All right. Okay, and Mike's gone for the day. How do I get rid of this thing here? All right, I still got 3 screens. One is black in the middle. That's what I'm seeing.
It does that sometimes on here.
Last result. It's 2 o'clock. I still have time. I have a doctor's appointment in a little while, but I got time yet.
That's fine.
Anyway,
whatever you want to do.
Let's see what else. Okay, the podcaster. How do you? Well, we could talk about how to fix the GOP and the Democrat Party. It doesn't matter because they're not going to listen to whatever we say.
I'm not sure that they can be fixed until I think the only way to fix this entire problem is you're going to have to get a president and a speaker of the House that both agree that the structure of everything has to change of the same party.
That has to be changed legislatively.
No. I mean, they would have to change processes even because the parties. Well, I'll tell you one thing that could change the parties. That could actually happen this year. The Supreme Court will hear a case about whether, we had the Citizens United case in, 2010 that said, you can basically you can't, it's restricting speech rights if you say that corporations can't spend money on campaigns and stuff. Right. So that's how we get super PACs. The problem, there are lots of problems going back much further. I think you have to get rid of primaries to fix the parties, but that's a whole different thing.
Wait a minute. If you get rid of primaries, how are you going to
We've only had
select.
primaries for 50 years. We managed to do it for 100 and almost 200 years before for that without primaries.
But but that was backdoor deals and cigar smoke.
Right,
Cigar
but here's the thing. Here's the upside to smoke-filled rooms. The parties, and it wasn't just smoke-filled
the
rooms.
Democrat Party has done that anyway. They did that with Kamala.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, you're right. And so, here's my point. Like the parties, the primary system has what it's done is rewarded the fringiest parts of both parties. So what you end up with, because so few people vote in primaries, we're talking about 2016.
Well, this is why we got this guy Mandami in New York City.
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually think that's just because people are idiots in New York City, but
they are.
But I think really the problem is, and it is indicative of what the primary problem. But really, here's the problem: 2016 is the last time we had a full open primary, because that's the last time we had Democrat primary and Republican Party in the same year, because we've had Biden-Trump, and it's kind of a weird election cycle. In that election cycle, I might not have these numbers totally right, but I'm pretty sure what it was basically 14% of the Republicans and 14% of Democrats voted in those primaries. And then, so for a combined 28% of the eligible voters, population. And I don't even know if that was, I think it's 28% of eligible voters.
A lot of people do not vote in primaries.
So 28% of eligible voters picked. And really, when you look at the margins and you take away the votes of the states that happened after the states where it was obvious, Trump had already won after like Super Tuesday, for example. And so none of those states really counted after that, because you're going to, I discount all those votes, because I go, first of all, some people don't show up because they already know Trump won. So why show up and vote, whether you like them or not? Basically, it comes down to 4% of the country that decided Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are the nominees.
Okay, but the alternative, if you allow the parties to select who's going to go, then that's an even smaller percentage of the population picking,
right,
being kingmaker.
But the parties get rewarded or punished for picking good or bad candidates. So, for example, I think the Democrats are going to be punished for what they did in 2024 by trying to pretend Joe Biden, there's nothing wrong with him. And then when it all hell breaks loose because he can't perform in that debate, they kind of just go, well, it's got to be Kamala. And they just choose Kamala without any sort of primary process. If they would have picked someone that won, I think they get rewarded for that decision making. Does that make sense? But because they picked someone as weak and bad as candidate as Kamala Harris, I think that they will get punished for that. And my point is, that's what used to work in politics in the United States. If the Republican Party, for example, the Whig Party disappeared because it wasn't like it. First of all, it was. I mean, there's a lot of complicated reasons the party disappeared, but you get the Republican Party because there were enough people that said we think slavery is a problem, that it should go away, and the other conservative party was not picking a side on that. They were being wishy-washy on it. So the Republican Party goes from being a new party to winning the White House like in 4 years. It's crazy how fast it was, because there was a demand for that. It's supply and demand. I'm a free market economist kind of guy, so I like that in politics too. And I think that you get rewarded based on if you pick good candidates. You look at the Democrats and look at their string of Democrats controlled Congress and everything for a very long time because the Republican Party was not doing a good job at picking those candidates. And so I think that what would happen is that it would force the parties to compete with each other. And they're not competing with each other right now, really. What they're doing is going, here's a primary process, this is even crazier. In some states, you don't even have to be a Bernie Sanders is not even a Democrat, and he almost got the nomination.
In some states, there are people from one party can
exactly
in the other primary.
I think you've got to let
influence the election that way.
I think if we're going to have parties, you've got to you don't need democracy within a party. I'm all for democracy. I'm all for voting. Like, I think they've got to have democracy between the two parties. But it doesn't need to be like, we don't expect, Jonah Goldberg says this all the time, and I think it's totally true. We don't expect a Marine unit to be Democratic. We don't expect my family to be Democratic. We wouldn't want even like the C-level suite of a company to be Democratic. Like, they are in charge and they tell the people below them what to do. We don't need democracy everywhere is not good. Like we have fetishized democracy. And I think that we've done that with the primary system in a way that doesn't make any sense, because what you're getting is worse and worse candidates. That what you said at the top of the show, people are basically choosing between a lesser of two evils most of the time. They don't like either one of the candidates, and that's
Right.
because the fringiest part of their primary base that'll actually show up and vote in a primary, not even just a primary, by the way, it's normally a runoff in election that gets even fewer votes than the original, people have different primaries in
Well,
different states.
if you feel that way about the replacing the primaries,
Yeah.
okay, doing away with primaries, then you probably feel the same way I do, where we should do away with that amendment that made senators elected
Absolutely.
by popular vote and go back to, all right, let
17th Amendment. Yep.
in that state, because
I
right
agree.
now the senators do not represent their states like
Totally
they're
agree.
supposed to. They will represent the highest bid. Why do you think Chuck Schumer is all over the country at dinners collecting money for his?
They're just
war
fundraisers now. I mean, Congress,
It's
all
all
Congress does is
fundraising.
fundraising. Yeah, no,
From
totally
the day
agree.
they're elected. From
Go
the
back
day
to
they're
the
elected.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Go back to
Somebody
state
said,
legislatures.
Yeah,
And
somebody said they spend 80% of their time fundraising.
Now, I think those are very high hurdles to get over. I don't think it's very realistic that we're going to be able to get rid of primaries or get rid of the 17th Amendment. I think that it's unlikely that that happens. However, that Supreme Court case that's coming up, I think in this next term, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's in this fall's term, is about the problem is that what happened with that campaign finance reform, which had the best of intentions, but intentions don't matter, is that it took away money from parties and gave it to super PACs. So even more now, what you've got is Democrats, for example, are going to have Planned Parenthood and pick any of your super PACs, and they are single issue PACs that are getting all the money, and then they pick candidates based on, do you agree with us on this single issue? And that's why there are no pro-life Democrats anymore, and there are no there are pro-abortion Republicans now, because Trump is one of them. And so, but you have to get in line, because you have to fall in line with the PACs who are single issue PACs. And the problem is you cannot give, you can give unlimited donations to PACs. You cannot give unlimited donations to parties. The Supreme Court case is going to be about that. Is like, can you give unlimited donations to parties? That might help in the sense that it could increase the amount of money and funding that Republicans and Democrats have, the actual parties themselves, because right now they're basically relying on those PACs, and those PACs are generally single issue. So it could actually give more power to the parties. Now, I don't think it's going to fix everything, but it could even things out a little bit, in the sense that Republicans could say, for example, in 2016, if there's this, I think, common misconception that the parties are all powerful. The parties are very, very, very weak. If they were very, very powerful, do you think the parties would have allowed Donald Trump to sniff the nomination in 2016, or Bernie Sanders, who's not even a Democrat? He's an independent.
Well, they did take it away from Bernie Sanders.
I know. But my point is that if you actually had the control that we claim the parties have, they never would have gotten close, because they would have said, you are not qualified to be a Republican. Matt Gaetz, you're not qualified. Donald Trump, you're not qualified. Bernie Sanders, AOC, you are not qualified to run as a Democrat, because whatever, we just don't like you, or we think that you're wrong on these issues. You're too progressive. You're too right wing. Whatever the situation is, it lets the party then say who they're going to let run under their, or they can literally say, we're going to throw all of our money behind this candidate that we like in this state instead of the other one. They've gotten too hands off, and they're trying to say, oh, we want everything to be Democratic. And I don't think that's what the party's job is. The party's job is to win elections. That's what when it boils down to it, they're supposed to be in power and win elections. Exactly. So if they're not winning elections, they're going to have to change their ways to win elections. And right now, the party has no control over that. It's basically just like, is there a candidate that's popular? But that's essentially it. I think you got to give parties more power, because they're incredibly weak right now. And I think that that's the reason you've seen the Republican Party completely change under Donald Trump, and the Democratic Party similarly, not really under Joe Biden, but more like because Joe Biden wasn't
for years before.
For years before too, but Joe Biden certainly escalated it by not pushing back on the progressive wing of his party and capitulating to them all the time, because his staff was that young, too online kind of group of people. And so he listened to what they said. And I think what you've ended up with is like two parties that I think the Democrats are definitely they've gone very far progressive. And I do think they're going to have to swing back. I think that that's going to continue to lose them big elections. It's not working in anywhere other than like very progressive places like New York City. They're not winning elections, just like a lot of the Trump sort of people are not winning elections either. The people that Trump handpicks, basically JD Vance is the only one that's won an election. The rest of them lose because they're not candidates that people want. And when you have parties that are controlled by one person at the top, and they get to totally shape the policy and the ideals and all that kind of stuff, you end up with really no ideals because the next person comes in and can totally change that. And so that's why in 2024 is the first year that fewer Democrats voted than independents as far as registered voters. People are leaving both parties in record numbers. And I think that's because they don't identify with either party because neither party really has an identity. If you tried to list on paper what the Republican Party is, no one can anymore because it's just whatever Donald Trump says today. But if you tried to write it down and put it on a website, he could change his mind tomorrow and the website would be outdated.
I think that, I have to admit that Donald Trump has become the head of the Republican Party since his election.
Yeah, in 2016.
Since his election, the last election.
No, but he was the head in 2016 too. I mean, like he got rid of everyone.
Head, but he really still had a lot of resistance among the ranks there.
But what resistance did he get from Congress from 2016 to 2020?
They couldn't do anything anyway because the Democrats controlled Congress.
No, he had all three. He had the Senate and the House for 2 years.
For the first 2 years, yeah.
Just like Biden had.
But after that, I mean, and every day the Democrats and the media were pounding on him, and he got a lot accomplished despite that.
I mean, like, look at the Freedom Caucus. Do they stand for anything anymore?
Sorry?
Like, look at the Freedom Caucus. They were supposed to be for low taxes and getting rid of the debt, and they were for all this stuff, and they have gone against every single one of their principles, other than Thomas Massie. That Massie is like the only one. But like, other than Thomas Massie, every one of them is either out of Congress now,
but I can't remember who,
or they've just gone to whatever Trump says, I go along with. Mike Lee used to be a true constitutional conservative, and he is unrecognizable now because he's just completely capitulated to Trump. And I just go, that's not principled.
Well, on the one hand, you could say that the party has unified behind its obvious leader, and that's not unnatural. And the Democrats do that all the time, no matter who.
Right, and my point is unity is overrated. Unity, like the Nazis were unified. Unity is not a good thing.
I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that this is practical fact.
Yeah, it is.
That is why they are more unified than they were, I think, back in 2016.
I think they were pretty unified. Like once he got rid of, which is so stupid. Here's what's so stupid about it. He complains about everyone that actually got him all of his accomplishments in his first administration. He complains about Paul Ryan. He complains about Mitch McConnell.
Ryan, I think, went rogue.
But they passed his bills.
Know what happened to Ryan?
They got his bills passed. Like Mitch McConnell is responsible for getting those the three Supreme Court nominations, and yet he throws him under the bus.
But everything else, no, I don't like what Mitch McConnell has done. I don't like the fact that he's been there as long as he has.
That's fine. Okay. I'm not saying I agree with Mitch McConnell and everything. I'm saying like Donald Trump owes those people every win he got in his first term because any bill he got passed with those people's like. Without those people, they don't get it.
That brings me to what I want to talk. I want to ask you about now. He seems very unforgiving towards people who oppose him.
Right.
However, J.D. Vance, what do you think of J.D. Vance? Because J.D. Vance, when he was first elected in 2016, was opposed to.
He was not elected. He was just a book writer at the time. He didn't get elected until 2020.
I'm saying Donald Trump was elected.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He was opposed to Trump from the beginning.
Yeah.
Before 2016. And when he first ran, and then he changed after a few years. He changed because he felt that what Trump was doing was okay. Why do you think that Trump has not only forgiven but embraced him, even though he was a staunch opponent years ago?
It's because Trump loves nothing more than a convert. He is more likely to be kind to someone that used to not like him and now likes him than someone that was consistently behind him the whole time. Huh. Just look at the pattern. I mean, look at J.D. Vance. He's thinking about pardoning P. Diddy. He's thinking like Eric Adams. Look at all the Democrats that Donald Trump speaks more favorably about than Republicans, like Mitt Romney, for example. Like
Oh, Mitt Romney, no,
forget even Mitt Romney. Pick someone that has actually been loyal to him the entire time that he'll throw under the bus. Donald Trump will stab anyone in the back if he thinks it benefits him. But he loves a convert. He absolutely loves someone like JD Vance that has to come crawling back and say, beg for your forgiveness, essentially. The problem with JD Vance is that what version of JD Vance are we talking about? There's 2016 JD Vance, there's 2018, there's 2020, there's 2022, there's 2024. There's even like 2 weeks ago JD Vance and today's JD Vance.
He is in the next election, because I think it's going to come down to JD Vance and possibly DeSantis.
I think DeSantis,
but
I think
DeSantis
both
may be out of it because he's leaving office next year, I think, or in 2 years.
JD Vance will never
be out of the picture for 2 years before the election.
Ron DeSantis has zero chance in 2028 of even sniffing the nomination. He might not even run because Donald Trump will never forgive anyone that ran against him in 2024. Period. No one in that whole crew will ever be allowed back in the Republican Party. Maybe other than Doug Burnham.
I think he and DeSantis made amends. It seems to me. I don't think JD Vance has a chance, because I predict, if I had to make, I don't love making predictions because things change, all the time. But if I had to predict, I don't think JD Vance can walk that tightrope where he's running for president and being a sycophant and having to agree with everything Donald Trump says, because I do not believe Donald Trump will be popular by the end of this term. I do think that he will. I think the economy will not recover the way he thinks it will. Nobody can predict that.
Right,
you can predict it, but we don't know.
But based on what I think will happen, I think the tariffs will increase prices. It will not bring American manufacturing is not going to be roaring.
I disagree with you there, because already, some prices have gone up, and prices are going up because now Americans are taking jobs that illegals had, but at a better, more reasonable.
Yeah, but you know what? American voters do not care the reason why the price went up. They care that the price went up. And they're not going to be okay with
overall. Did you notice that the eggs have disappeared from?
Yeah, but eggs was such a stupid issue because it was about 2 bird flus. Biden shouldn't have gotten any.
Democrats brought up was the eggs.
I know, and so did. But my point is, the eggs went up under Biden and under Trump.
Eggs and something else, I forget what.
So my point, you can't look at any one little thing. Here's a perfect tariff example. Okay, under his first term, he did the tariffs on steel and aluminum. And he specifically tried to put tariffs on washing machines to try to get washing machine companies to build them in the United States. Let me look up this number because I don't want to mess up the numbers. Because, but I think it was, of course, I don't have the note here, but I think it was $800 billion that we ended up spending on 600 jobs. It's like $134 million a job or something like that we ended up spending. Let me get those numbers because I am going to have them wrong. So I want to make sure I've got it right. Let me see if I can find it.
How did we spend that money on those jobs?
Well, because here's what happened. So a few people came here, but for the most part, what they did is had to raise the prices of washing machines and dryers. So the tariff was only on washing machines, but every company took the opportunity. If we're going to raise the price on the washing machine, we might as well be able to try to pad some of that into the dryers as well. And so we ended up with is every American that wanted to buy a washer or dryer spent more on that washer and dryer. So American consumers had to spend more on washers and dryers because they were either imported or they were built here. And the ones that were built here were more expensive because they were also trying to pad that stuff. It only created 600 jobs. It is not worth the $800 million Americans spent on the price of washers and dryers for 600 jobs, in my opinion. It's too much money. And so that is just one very narrow example of something that everyone noticed the price go up on. And obviously with COVID and Biden.
You're saying the prices went up and cost the American consumer $80 billion?
It was I think it was $800 million. I'm going to try to look it up. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. I normally have this up. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. 2018 is okay. Oh, where's this chart? I'll try to share it. Hold on. Okay. Where's the chart here? Sorry, give me 1 second. You can cut out the silence if you want to. I'm trying to find the the chart because the chart's the easiest way to.
You know what? Let me pause this while you're looking.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay,
Okay.
find it.
Found it. Okay, so the Trump era tariffs on washing machines specifically. So I'm not talking about the steel and aluminum. I'm not talking about the new ones that are across the board and everything. This is just a very one specific area because it's easy to measure, right? So then there was a study in 2019, University of Chicago economics. Washer prices increased by 86 per unit, and dryer prices increased by $92 per unit. And that led to an aggregate increase in consumer cost of over 1.5 billion. And
hold on just a second. Yeah. Sorry, my alarm went off.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I'm going to have to go soon.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
We can finish on this or whatever. So the washing machine tariffs were estimated to be basically a $400 million tax increase because the consumers are then paying that extra $86 and $96 per washing machine. So a combined, if you combine those two things, because most people buy washers and dryers together, you're talking about $170, $180 worth of extra cost in the washer and dryer because of these tariffs. And then it only resulted in, let's see, I think it was 600 new jobs. I'm trouble finding the job. So American consumers paid $1.5 billion more for washers and dryers so that we could create 600 jobs. That is not a good deal to American consumers. And it's also protectionist. Like, I just don't think we should be protecting certain industries. I don't think the government,
I'm generally against protectionism.
Yeah. But the thing is, Donald Trump thinks trade is bad. And trade makes goods cheaper for Americans.
No, I don't think I think that's what the whole thing with the tariffs was. I think he knew that the tariffs were not going to be what he said they were, but he has used them as a club to bring tariffs on our products down.
No, but he thinks trade. No, but he thinks trade is bad. He wrote in the margins of a speech, trade is bad.
Well, overall, yeah, for trade deficits and so forth.
No, not trade deficits. Trade is bad, is what he thinks. He's always thought is his only consistent principle since the 80s. He thought it was Japan then. Now he thinks it's China.
He wants manufacturing back in the United States.
But it's not going to happen.
He has gotten trillions of dollars promised as investment over the next 10 years from various countries now, from various firms in various countries.
I know, but it's unnecessary.
Sorry?
I think it's unnecessary because manufacturing is not a problem in the United States. We manufacture more than any other country other than China. And when you look at our per capita output, it's better.
You think we should be allowing China to make our drugs?
No. Like China is a very unique experience.
We never should have let that go overseas, period.
China is a unique bad actor. But like, I don't have a problem with Indonesia or Korea or Vietnam making our clothes. And that's what Donald Trump has a problem with all of that.
Clothing's one thing. I'm saying medication. We don't even have antibiotics that are made in the United States anymore.
Right. That's fine. I'm all for the national security. But that's not a tariff. I mean, tariffs for national security are one thing.
Tariffs, I think Trump has been using as a club right from the beginning.
Right.
And he has. I think we're going to see in the next few days, you're going to see that it's having some success. The tariffs that we're paying are being lowered. Some of them have gone up a little bit, but overall we're getting it back because we're tariffing them a little more, even though they buy more from us.
Yeah, but that's not really happening, though. Israel is a good example that had 0% tariffs on our imports. Our exports to them, and we still slap them with a 15% tariff. He just likes tariffs because he doesn't want to trade with other countries. What that will do is shrink the gap between what Americans earn and what they have to spend on their goods. And people will notice that.
Maybe he's trying to make back some of the money that we are giving to Israel.
But I mean, that's not like you can't.
It's not maybe the best way to do it.
My point is that if the defense is that he is trying to get to free trade, I think that is. Like Donald Trump is not saying that himself, so I don't know why anyone believes that. There's literally a screenshot in this article of Trump in the margins of a speech writing trade is bad. He thinks all trade is bad. He has a foolish understanding of trade deficits. The reason Bangladesh has a trade deficit with us is because we make really expensive things like Boeing airplanes. Bangladesh is not buying those because they're a very poor country. They are making a lot of clothes and we're bringing those into the United States. So yeah, a trade deficit doesn't mean anything. We are better off. We are actually like Americans are getting cheaper goods. Bangladesh is better off too because they have good paying jobs for their economy. Vietnam is another similar situation where it's like we make a lot of clothes in Vietnam. And I totally agree with the China stuff. We've got to figure out how to decouple from China because they are bad actors. But Donald Trump treats every other country that trades with us as a bad actor. And I just think that's foolish. There are other countries that are better at things that we're not. And there's no indication. There are 500,000 manufacturing jobs open last year. They filled less than 20% of them. We cannot fill the manufacturing jobs that we have in America because Americans don't want those jobs anymore. So you either have to bring immigration in to take those jobs, which Donald Trump also doesn't want to do, but it's not coming back. People can't manufacture
you're
things.
going to wind up getting all these kids who go to college and come out expecting that they're going to get 50 or 60,000 to begin with, and they're not getting jobs at all. They're either having to go to McDonald's and asking you if you want fries with that, or they're going to have to take these other jobs that are opening up in manufacturing.
Yeah, but they're
maybe not forever. Maybe not forever.
Yeah.
That'll be an incentive for them to find something else, but it'll be a stopgap at least for them.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I just don't think.
I got to get going because I do have to get ready for my doctor's appointment.
Of course, it's been nice talking to
you. We didn't expect this to go more than an hour, and we're at over an hour and a half.
Well, it's been a fun conversation.
Yeah. All right. Well, nice meeting you, and good luck with your podcast. I'm going to put the link down in the show notes as I usually do.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Actually, it'll be on our website.
Perfect. Appreciate you having me.
All right. Take care. Have a good one.
See ya.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you don't hang up yet. We hope you enjoyed this little back and forth. I know the Democrats are going to say, oh, see, that shows Republicans are not united. Well, we're not supposed to be united. We're supposed to have different ideas and then come to a consensus, so to speak. Not walk lockstep, with our hobnailed boots like the Democrats do.
Totally agree.
Anyway, we'll see you next time on The View from Here. Thank you.